Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Car Trivia with me, David. So, the concept of this video series is extremely simple. I preach to everyone in the car community that there's one rule you should never break, and that is to pretend to know everything. I always say that you should ask other people questions, and that'll be more knowledgeable. So that's what I'm gonna do in a fun way. I'm gonna ask Mr. James Wood here some questions that he might not even know, and I'm gonna educate him because I made this list of questions off the top of my head with no research. He saw me do it, except he didn't see the questions.
That's true. I didn't see anything.
No, he just saw me on a laptop.
I was playing on my phone.
Are you ready, Mr. James?
Yes. Yes, I am.
The results are in, and they're upside down. What is the alternative name or the inventor of the rotary engine?
That would be Felix Wankel.
Okay, do you know anything about Wankel?
He was a German engineer, I believe, or inventor. And the Wankel was back in, I think, the early 40s or late 50s.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it was such a weird concept for an engine when it comes to piston motors are not simple, but they have an element of simplicity.
That was such cool design because it was 3 moving parts at the end of the day compared to
God knows
piston
how many.
engines, which you have like your whole valve train set up. You have each piston, you have each rod, crank, and there's just so much stuff going on. So rotaries, like that whole idea was just let's make it simple by having 3 parts that move.
It's like, okay, let's make everything simple, but then there's the seals and everything else that are the infamous apex seals, all that. But I feel like that's more with the turbo cars than the non-turbo.
And like that's why like when rotaries break, you had to take them all apart because they were just like one thing. It wasn't
everything
like,
internally.
oh, my valve train's messed up, we can just pull a head off and do that. Or like, hey, the bottom end's messed up. All right, we can like pull the oil pan and do that. With the rotaries, it was just, all right, we got to take all of it apart because it's not much.
I will be shocked if you don't get this one.
Okay.
Which historical figure in the car industry said, you can have any color you want as long as it's black?
That'd be Henry Ford.
Okay, and why did he say it?
Because you could have any color you wanted as long as it was black. All he cared about was saving money on producing cars. Well, assembly line setup was everything is going to be the same.
So Alejandra upstairs heard me say that, and she said Ford. So, I love you! What was the twist on the line in the very first Fast and Furious movie that Vin Diesel says? They're at the party with Paul Walker.
Oh, you can have any beer you want as long as it's a Corona.
I just blew all y'all's minds.
You can have any brew you want as long as it's a Corona.
So many people that I ask don't know that. They go, wait, I'll say the Corona thing. And they'll go, what are you talking about? Out of the big 3 domestic companies, who for the most part in 2008 did not take the bailout?
Is that Ford?
Yeah. So essentially, the big 3 were all in trouble, and it's a coincidence that I had Henry Ford and Ford with questions. A lot of people thought it was a controversial decision because had it been any other company, say even like, I don't know, Hershey Chocolate or Coca-Cola or any of those big companies that are very American, I think they would have just let them go bankrupt. But since the auto industry is such a artery to the American economy, I see why they took it. I think Ford took little parts of the bailout, but they didn't take the giant chunk of money. I think GM took the biggest chunk because they really needed it.
And Chrysler Dodge.
Chrysler Dodge also did it, but I think GM really needed it, and that's why they killed off GMC. I'm sorry, that's why they should have killed off GMC. That's what I was thinking, but they killed off Pontiac and Saturn.
Yep.
Both companies really didn't have a place in the industry anymore. Pontiacs were all rebadged Chevys, and then the Saturns, which were very affordable cars in the 90s, because the whole point of those was to be like the economy car for anybody, to be experimental and cool. But the SL2 didn't rock anybody's socks off, so that really didn't help. And the Saturn Sky, I think the last ditch effort by Saturn was the Sky, and the last ditch effort by Pontiac was the G8, which at the time was the cheapest car for $30,000 for 400 horsepower. All right. And now we live in this time, so what Japanese automotive brands were created for the U.S. market for the demand of luxury models?
There was Lexus, there's Acura, there's Infiniti.
Nailed it. So what's interesting is that Honda specifically with Acura, they essentially were like, the Americans aren't buying these bigger cars like the Accord and stuff like that. So then they did kind of that placebo effect of, oh, if we name it something fancier, maybe people will buy it. And that's why the Integra is an Acura. That's why the NSX is an Acura. But everywhere else in the world,
They're Hondas.
they're Hondas. When I do video reviews, I find myself saying Honda, insert car here, then Acura, because I don't know, I feel like that's like the true nature of it. I mean, when you pop the hood of any Acura, it says Honda Motor Company on it.
Toyota did the flip side of all the luxury brands, and then they did Scion
Yeah.
to appeal to like our, like supposed to appeal to like our generation and y'all's generation of the younger kids that didn't want a Toyota like your grandma who had a Camry from the 90s.
Right.
And then like your parents who had Lexuses, like they're not gonna buy their kid a Lexus. So
No.
Scion came out and was like, okay, well, let's just like blast the TC through there, and then like, oh, we got the FRS, let's put that in and try to appeal to younger.
Right,
younger
and
generation.
the Scion brand was so interesting to me because I was in 5th grade when Scion came out, and the first car they released was the XB. And I was at Van's skate park at Potomac Mills in Virginia, and it was in the mall. And I walked by it, and I'm like, what is that? You know, and my dad goes, oh, that's that new brand by Toyota. It looks like a freaking Lego car to me. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
You know, because that's not a good sign for a brand right out the gate. They tried to sell it to the youth, but older people bought them.
Yeah.
It was really strange how a lot of older folks saw that brand as, oh, it's a Toyota, but it's just cheaper, so I'll just get this instead. And that's why I think the Scion brand failed. Like now it's the GT86 to the FRS, which it should have been that way all along.
To begin with,
Yeah. What inline 6 turbo engine did Australia have, but not the Americans?
We were talking about this today.
Yeah.
It was the Barra.
Yeah, the Barra motor is so interesting to me because you look at it, the design of it is so similar to a JZ or an RB, but they sound so gnarly. Like they sound so cool.
They were big. I mean, they're 4 liters. So
Yeah,
they're like,
it's like, can we
big
please
motor.
have that? And it's funny, if you try to import one to the United States, for the most part, you get the response of, no, that's ours. You're not taking it. No, and I think a lot of people learned about the Barra engine when Mighty Car Mods did their drag setup. They ended up running like 9 seconds through an auto.
Yeah.
And that was an eye-opener for a lot of people, and I think it would have helped this brand out a lot had they brought it here, because it was an American-ish 2J.
It would have been cool to get, and like we were talking about this morning, that Mighty Car Mods like is in America right now, and they're at Drag Week, and they brought the Cressida over.
Yeah, guys, I am so sorry. I should have done more research, and I apologize. This is all like American stuff, so my bad. I know a lot about Japanese stuff, but just coming off the top of my head, I made this list in like 10 minutes. So
I also don't know American stuff well, so
yeah, I was challenging him. What's the difference between a 1JZ and a 2JZ?
Displacement size and
What's the
heads.
Displacement?
1J is a 2.5 liter, and a 2J is a 3 liter.
Okay, what's the displacement of RB26?
2.6 liter.
Hey! If you're watching this and you're younger, any code basically that a Japanese motor has is displacement.
Yep.
That's all it is. B18 from Honda, 1.8 liter. RB26, 2.6. RB25, 2.5. It's super simple once someone tells you.
Yeah.
But when you don't know, it sounds like a different language.
BMW's the one that is wrong everywhere.
Like, German cars are my weakness because of all the different numbers and stuff.
I don't know German cars either, but it kills me. Like, oh, I've got a 335. Oh yeah, you would think. Like, it's a 3.5 liter engine.
No. Which racetrack in the world has a famous, extremely dangerous elevation change known as the corkscrew?
Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca.
Hey.
Now it's, I think WeatherTech is there.
Is it?
Because I saw WeatherTech post the other day. We're going back to the WeatherTech
They changed the
Raceway
brand?
at Laguna Seca. So I don't know if like, I'm kind of sad about that. If Mazda
I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm all for people sponsoring. I get it. But Mazda Raceway at Laguna Seca had like a really nice official like polish to it. And it was cool that they are indeed so many cars there, and that's the choice of like Motor Trend to do like the best driver's car every year, and that's a really, really crazy track. I mean, it's super fast, and forgive me if I'm wrong, I think the corkscrew is like 4 or 5 stories tall.
I have no clue. I've never been there. I want to go.
Yeah, I really want to go as well. What is the difference between a twin screw supercharger and a centrifugal supercharger?
Okay, so a twin screw supercharger is exactly what it sounds like. There's 2 screws in there, and that's what compresses the air.
Right.
Centrifugal is basically all it is a cold side of a turbo hooked up to a pulley.
Basically.
That's why they're so easy to do. I mean, we pulled when Graham sold his blower from the LS truck, we took all of that off and put it back to stock in 3 hours.
Yeah, simple.
They're so simple and easy.
And not only that, a lot of people get centrifugal stuff mixed with turbos because they'll see it and it's a very similar shape. I've noticed especially with the Paxton and Vortex setups because they're extremely round. The Pro Charger on Smurf looks a little different. You know, it looks like a big alternator almost, you know.
People get confused, especially when I think on which way the compressor is actually sitting. Because if it's sitting on the front, like if it's sitting in the front of the motor and you can see like the actual impeller, then you might think it's a turbo because you don't actually see the back gear. But on the flip side, like on yours, like the Pro Charge cars,
the other way around.
Or it's you end up seeing the pulley and you don't see essentially the compressor, the cold side of stuff. So you just like see that pulley, and that's one way that people get confused.
And they make really odd sounds compared to a turbo car. Aside from the Mustang and the Shelby Cobra, what other 2-seater roadster did Carroll Shelby help develop?
Viper.
Okay, and do you know why they called it the Viper?
Because they couldn't call it Cobra.
Yeah, that's literally it. The first gen Viper is scary.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
terrifying.
And it's not because it's powerful. Like today's standards, it feels a lot like a stock one of these. But you're just lower to the ground, and you have harnesses on.
The thing I think is more terrifying than the Viper is the SRT10 Ram single cab truck that you would get.
Dude, have you seen the video years ago of the one that did a burnout? It flipped into a ditch. Dude, so it went viral on like E-Bombs World back in the day, like, or one of those websites when YouTube didn't exist.
Yeah.
But this guy takes an SRT10, does a burnout, it snaps oversteers, and he rolls it over into a ditch. It's like the weirdest. Like, I'll play the clip. Here you go.
That's not good.
Oh, what just happened? Like, did I pop the tire?
Like, how does that even happen? But that truck is super imbalanced. Like, it's just like, here, we'll just do
we'll
this.
give you all the power in the world with no weight in the back, and then you can just go to town.
Looking at the current generation of S550 Mustang, how can you tell the difference between a V6, an EcoBoost, and a GT?
That.
Okay. But what's the okay? So you got the Coyote one. What does the V6 one look like?
Doesn't V6 not have any badges on it? And it's I want to say it is a twin exhaust.
They're all twin exhausts.
Oh, okay.
So essentially, the way you can tell the difference is that it's right here. But nowadays on the S550, there's no fake gas cap looking thing.
Yeah.
So you'll have.
Oh, there's a.
I'm reeling you in. Come on.
There's a horse there on some of them.
Yeah.
I don't know which ones, but I know there's a horse there.
Oh, you're so close, dude. Okay, so to tell the difference is on the V6, there's going to be a horse there with an American flag with 3 stripes, essentially. So it's red, white, and blue.
All right.
The EcoBoost is a naked horse. There's no flag on it. So that's how you can tell it's an EcoBoost. It's funny how a lot of people will text me, David, I like destroyed this 5.0 the other day, and they sent me a picture and it's like a V6, and I'm like, no, sorry, dude. Anyway, that's how you can tell with the majority of the generations, any Mustang with the flag is a V6. Anything beyond that's usually a GT. What Italian sports car brand was created out of revenge or spite of being neglected by Enzo Ferrari?
Lamborghini. Was this back when they were making tractors?
Yeah. Rich guy in Italy, I'll buy Ferrari, complains about Ferrari, Enzo says no, it's perfect. Okay, fine. Builds Lamborghini.
Yep.
Pagani, Ferrari, and Lamborghini are super close to each other. They're all in the same kind of region of Italy. So it's funny how everyone's kind of interconnected. You know, Pagani work for Lamborghini. Ever get the chance to tour like the Lamborghini factory? It's one of the best experiences I've ever had because I saw the Sesto Elemento and all that. But what we're gonna do for the next episode is you guys are gonna put the questions down in the comment section below. I will pick out of those comments to be the next questions, and for God's sake, no one answer the questions. That way we can actually have them and no one can cheat. This was kind of the baby round. This is us testing the waters of this video series. That's why we're just two guys chilling, talking about cars in my garage. Also, this was kind of like baby questions. This is general knowledge. The episodes will get harder and harder as we go along. I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and I will see you guys next time, but take it easy. Thanks, James. Always a pleasure.
Always love hanging out.
Had a good time. I hope you guys all enjoyed that video. I just wanted to remind you that Smiles Per Gallon snapbacks are finally available. I've been dying to make hats all this time since I started on this channel. The link will be in the description below. I will see you guys later. Take it easy. You want to clean Ninja Bay and/or exhaust tips? Here, use this. Spray on, let sit 45 seconds to 1 minute. Wipe down. If you want to support this channel while also cleaning your car with the best stuff around, make sure to head over to www.pattersoncarcare.com. Made by car dudes for car dudes.